Hi there, my name is Linda O'Neill and I run a practice called Good Talk, and my practice is all about helping parents connect better with their teens. I have taught and mentored teens for over 20 years, and like you, I want what is best for them. Social media and the pandemic has made it really hard for our teens. By 2015, two different things happened. Social media platforms blew up. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. These platforms are way different than the platforms that we were accustomed to, like MySpace and Friendster. Y'all remember Friendster? And then, at that same time, most teens had smartphones. We're already familiar with all of the negative consequences. To regurgitate all of that is nothing new to you. Netflix has done plenty of documentaries that talk about the negative consequences of social media. They're looking at Instagram, scrolling through pictures of perfect lives with perfect bodies, counting their self-worth with the number of likes that they get. We already know that's bad for them. Unfortunately, the pandemic put a magnifying glass on all of our problems to the point where we can no longer ignore our problems. And one of the consequences that came from this pandemic, the explosion of social media and all of this time on our hands, is that more and more teens are getting eating disorders. So that's what we're going to talk about today, the myths behind weight and how can we catch an eating disorder before it really takes over your teen's life. And it's not just the influencers and the fitspiration models on Instagram that's influencing your young teen. It is also all of the ads that come along those feeds, like intermittent fasting or lose that belly fat or do this for your body. I see it all over my feed. I'm sure you see it in yours, and it does have an impact on your kid and how they see their body. And in fact, we've almost become immune to these ads and their microaggressive comments about obesity.
Like, I can't stand people that are like eating a bucket of like Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Like, I'm so fat. And like, they won't work out. They won't change their diet.
I hate seeing our kids suffer, and I know you do too. And that's why I'm trying to shine a light on this issue. If you or somebody you know has overcome an eating disorder, put it in the comments below and give us some encouraging words to help us all look for the signs of an eating disorder or get over an eating disorder. Also, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. First, let's go over 5 misconceptions we may have about weight. Did you know that 98% of all diets fail? They simply don't work. And when they don't work, we blame ourselves. Diet culture can lead to eating disorders, but eating disorders are not necessarily from diet culture. There are so many variables that go with an eating disorder. We're not going to look at the causes necessarily, but we will look at some solutions and a different way to think about weight. These diets that are very popular, like the Atkins diet or the paleo diet or even a vegan diet, they're really hard to maintain, and therefore they're not always sustainable. The second misconception about weight is that this is a first world rich white girl problem. It is not. This problem affects all religions, all ages, all ethnicities, all social economic backgrounds, and it's only gotten worse with the pandemic. The problem with thinking that eating disorders is a rich white girl problem is that it affects how we assess eating disorders and how we prevent eating disorders. Number 3, stop gaslighting the issue by saying that America has an obesity problem and that problem is bigger than an eating disorder problem. Okay? Let's stop doing that, please. This argument only encourages eating disorders because it's basically saying that it's okay to be underweight but not okay to be overweight, which is actually false because the studies do not support that assertion. There is scientific proof that you could be healthy at any weight. Number 4, eating disorders do not come in 2 flavors: anorexia and bulimia. So for example, if your teen is eating a pound of M&Ms and running to the treadmill and they're on it for over an hour, that's an example of over-exercising or compulsive exercising. So there are many different ways of looking at an eating disorder. And finally, the most important misconception is number 5, the body mass index, the BMI. It turns out that the BMI may not be the best assessment for overall health and weight. Sabrina Springs, a PhD, an associate professor at the University of California in Irvine, wrote a book called The Fearing of the Black Body, The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia. And she dives deep into this BMI controversy, and it's kind of racist. So before you dive into the comments and say, okay, how can a number be racist? Let's kind of go over it and then we can discuss. the BMI measurement, we'll talk about where it came from, but it's based on Caucasian bodies. The guy who came up with BMI, he was a brilliant Belgian scientist. I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm just going to put it in the screen. His interest in studying these traits were related to many things, but they were not necessarily related to overall health. He was looking at proportions, but not necessarily overall health. Of all the things that he was, astrologer, scientist, he was not a doctor, and he was not in the health field. But again, these studies were done on the ideal white man. In the 1970s, the health insurance companies and the medical field decided that the BMI was the best and easiest way to determine your health. As Sabrina Springs wrote in her article in Good Housekeeping, she writes, around 170 years ago, a white guy in Belgium who was never interested in health to begin with came up with a ratio that years later was adopted by health experts to decide whether or not to treat or insure a person. A ratio that insurance companies and doctors still use today. It's the ratio we still use to discriminate against others and harshly judge ourselves. This is the ratio that we are all told to be concerned with because body fat is supposedly killing us. There are variables within the ethnicities. In fact, a study in the 2003 journal said that a higher BMI was actually optimal for black bodies. And in Asians, the BMI number for that ethnicity is going to be different than for black bodies and white bodies. But yet we are using a old system based on a study that was done a long time ago, and its major group was just white men. If you are a larger person, right, and you go to the doctor, you're often judged and told to lose weight, and the other concerns, your health concern, may be completely ignored. So you may be going in because you have a headache. The doctor would tell you to lose weight because they see the body weight, and they're using this outdated BMI index system, ignoring the causes of your headache and blaming it on your weight. If you are a person who is overweight, or if you have a teen who is overweight, when you go to the doctor, insist upon blood samples, taking their blood pressure, looking at other factors like cholesterol, instead of just focusing on the weight. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's go over 5 signs that may be an indicator that your teen or child has an eating disorder. Your child suddenly loses 15 to 20 pounds. Number 2, they are constantly counting calories, fat grams, carbohydrates, sugar. Number 3, if your teen is eating secretly or appears to be really uncomfortable eating around others. Number 4, progressing their restrictions. 1 week they're not eating carbohydrates, no bread. Then the second week, no bread, no sugar. Then the third week, no bread, no sugar, no gluten. Then the 5th week, no bread, no sugar, no gluten, no food. Number 5, hoarding guilt or expressing a lot of guilt when they do eat. I mean, like, we all feel guilty eating that chocolate cake, but I'm talking obsessive. And here's the thing, we need to get a handle on this problem with your teen before it gets to be out of hand, right? Because once it's out of hand, it's a very long road to recovery. So we've all been guilty of counting calories, counting fat grams, restricting sugar, and you may think, well, if I do this, what's wrong with it? It's just healthy eating, but it's when it becomes obsessive. And there is a difference. There's a difference between, watching what you're eating, and a difference between like really obsessing over it, where it's compulsive thinking. That's all you're thinking about. So there are things that we can do to make sure that our teens are body positive and that they don't go down this road of an eating disorder. One thing you can do is really watch what you're saying about weight and body types.
Dad is causing some serious controversy after telling his daughter she needs to lose weight if she wants to get a boyfriend.
And Dad could have literally said, you know what, you're gonna make some man really happy someday, and they don't know what they're missing out on, and I have no doubt you're gonna find the right person for you. And then at another time, subtly, you know what, I've been thinking about this. Let's get you feeling better about yourself. I want to feel better about myself. Let's, every night after dinner, let's go for a father-daughter walk.
Yeah.
And, let's plan out our week of meals together at the beginning of the week. From a psychological perspective, what seems so wrong about this is that she was just asking her dad about not having a boyfriend, and he went straight to the weight. It wasn't as though she was saying, Dad, how can we eat healthier? I'd love to lose a few pounds. It was literally, I'd love to have a boyfriend. And then he said, you're fat, basically, which is really poor execution.
We just want our kids to be happy, and in that desire to see them happy, we want, like,
and we may jump and say the wrong thing.
My mother is Vietnamese. If you ask her if you're fat, she will tell you the truth, or she'll just tell you straight up, you're fat, or you have a muffin top, okay? If you're commenting on a movie star, like, oh wow, she's gained a lot of weight, or oh wow, she looks so much better after she's lost the weight, or if you're telling your teen, man, you'd be really pretty if you just lost a few pounds. These are all comments that will stick and can lead to an eating disorder, because words are painful and we hold on to them for a really, really long time. So try to be careful, try to be conscious of what you're saying about weight and body around your teen, especially if you are thin and you're asking your teen, who may have a little baby fat on them still, like, oh, I feel so fat in this dress, or oh, I look fat, or anything like that. These are not comments that are helping your teen. Another thing I invite you to do is join the Health at Every Size movement. What this movement is about, it's taking weight out of the conversation. They have a whole database of doctors who support this movement. So I provided a link, which is a personal directory to all the doctors that support this movement. I think it's a very positive movement. If the doctor says your blood work is healthy, your cholesterol is healthy, this is healthy, and they are saying you're unhealthy because of your weight, that's actually not true. Just because you're thin does not mean you're healthy. And the most important is, if you do suspect an eating disorder, take your kid to the pediatrician and get them screened. Our goal here at Good Talk is maintaining healthy minds and healthy relationship with our teens. That's my goal for this channel. If you want to schedule an appointment with me, please go down, check the description. I have a link to my website, I have a link to my calendar, and let's talk about how we can build a better relationship with your teen. And finally, check out my video about teen sleep, because again, healthy minds, healthy bodies, and your teens need a lot of sleep. There's a lot of great information in this video, so check it out. I'm offering free consultations. I am in Austin, Texas, so I'm happy to meet up face to face, but also I do Zoom. So if you are in Alaska, Minnesota, California, wherever you are, we can make this work. I want to work with you and your team. Oh, and please like and subscribe and share. My name is Linda O'Neill. My practice is Good Talk Parenting Teens. You beautiful people, have a wonderful day.